Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to rate the 4-game NBA main slate on Sunday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, welcome. My name is DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. If you guys are playing Week 11 NFL main slate, make sure to check out my video. I uploaded it earlier this morning, and I also will be doing a YouTube live stream tomorrow, general Q&A style. If you guys are unable to watch these YouTube videos, I also upload on Apple Podcasts. Link down below. It's called the DK DFS Show. And if you're interested in signing up for premium content, I offer 3 different packages: NBA, NFL, and esports package. More info down below on those. The sponsor of the video is PrizePicks. PrizePicks is a player prop site where you can take over/under on fancy points for NBA or over/under on straight up points, rebounds, assists. You can pick anywhere from 2 to 5 players and win up to 10x your money. You can mix and match sports. You can do a couple from NFL, a couple from NBA. They have every single sport you can think of as well. So if you guys want to try out PrizePicks, make sure to sign up. Use my code DKDFS. It is DKDFS, all one word. You'll get a 100% match up to $100. And finally, I want to thank you guys again for your continued support coming in and watching the NBA, the NFL videos, the live streams as well, been getting a lot of love. So make sure, if you do enjoy, to just hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Okay, guys, so going over my lineup tonight. So tonight was a night where just like there's so many landmines on the main slate. You're just trying to avoid all those landmines, and I got lucky and avoided a few. So let's talk about my lineup. Suggs, Richardson, Hart, Tatum, Collins, Lillard, Herter, and Harris. So I originally had RJ Hampton in here, but pivoted off him once he wasn't starting. Like, are you serious, Matt? You're really going to start Gary Harris? Can you just talk about it? Like, the Magic have nothing. I was tilting this in the Patreon live stream. The Magic have nothing to play for. Why on earth are you starting washed up Gary Harris? Like, give your young guys some run, right? Again, they're not like they're playing for anything this season. So, like, why are you not starting RJ Hampton alongside Suggs? That just made no sense. So I pivoted off him because the last time that RJ Hampton did not start when Suggs was out, he only played like 15 minutes, and he was only on pace for about 15 minutes. But then the game blew out, and he absolutely smashed. Went for like a 40 bomb. If I would have kept RJ Hampton, I would have been in second place here, winning like $3,000. But I'm not super mad about it because once we got the news, I wasn't going to start him. So, like, he was only on pace for about 15 minutes. He absolutely smashed. That was a weird game. And then the scrubs for the Magic bring it back, so Giannis has to come back in. Josh Hart was one of the landmines I hit. Really? Really with this? I knew it was fool's gold. Playing 38 minutes a game, just absolutely smashing stuff in the stat sheet. I play him 7 points, 2 boards in a great matchup. Now, I know the blowout, right? He lost minutes, but, like, he was not playing well. He was not playing well. Really, Josh Hart, like, he was super chalky, about 60% in this tournament. Pretty tilted about it, not going to lie. Tatum, I thought, was the optimal spend up. He had a really good game. Now, I originally had Capella in here, but pivoted because I was a little bit worried they might close small. They did, but Capella still smashed. Both bigs did good. Capella did a little bit better than Collins. And then I used the Damian Lillard, Tobias Harris pairing tournaments, both pretty low owned. Dame smashed at 24%, Tobias 12%. And then I used Herter, who started slow, had 0 fancy points in the first quarter, but came through 27 fancy points. So, yeah, again, if I would have stuck with RJ Hampton here over Josh Richardson, I would be winning a lot more. But, again, I can't be super mad about it because it was just one of those fluke things where, the reason RJ smashed was because of the blowout. Or he only played like 7 first-half minutes, so he wasn't on pace for big minutes. And then the late slate, this close to a takedown, guys, and my God, am I tilted. So this is a $10 entry, won over $300. So it's going back and forth, some stat corrections. It was up to $500. It was down to $250. Now it's $316. Wherever it settles. Okay, so I was tilting on Twitter, Tobias Harris getting pulled, okay? Tobias Harris got pulled from the game with 2.5 minutes left. And I'm tilting about it. I'm like, oh, thank you, Doc Rivers, for costing me the takedown in the late slate. And some weirdo on Twitter comes out and is like, oh, well, Tobias Harris, he only averages 1.5 fancy points per minute, so you wouldn't have won first. I'm looking at him like, dude, first 294, I'm at 288, less than 6 points and first place, no Tobias Harris. but no. Well, you only averages 1.5 fantasy points a minute. So even though he got benched with 2.5 minutes left, you can't be mad. Who is this guy? I think it was Nathan. He sounds like a pretty fun guy. Pretty fun guy to hang out with. Hunter. Yeah. Hunter seems like a cool dude. But yeah, so like I was like, why you like just whatever. But yeah, like Tobias Harris getting pulled there cost me literally thousands of dollars. $30,000 to first place. No Tobias Harris. I'm less than 6 points away with Tobias Harris, and Tobias gets benched with 2.5 minutes left. So some people think he might have got injured. I don't know. If he didn't get injured, Doc Rivers, he's cost me so much money this year. I really love Doc Rivers, guys. But yeah, so it was a really solid night for me. Had a good night in the main slate. Was this close to the takedown in the late slate, and then a random benching of Tobias Harris. Literally could have cost me $30,000. So pretty happy about that one. But yeah, in this lineup, in the late slate lineup, I just full stacked the Philadelphia-Portland game because I thought that game had way more upside. What I was really hoping for here was I was hoping for the Jazz game to blow out. I mean, it kind of did at the end, but I just full stacked it with Whiteside as the one player in the other game. So I was hoping for that game to blow out and this game to stay competitive. So you can kind of see where I was going with this lineup. But yeah, that's it for the look back, guys. Still going to be very tilted about Tobias Harris getting benched for a while now. Thousands of dollars, Doc Rivers. Thousands of dollars. But this is the winning lineup in the Thunderdome. So Marcus Smart, Suggs, Hart, Tatum, Gobert, Bane, Anderson, and Lillard. Like I said, a lot of landmines, right? Slow-mo, Kyle Anderson, 100% owned. And I got lucky here. I was very scared about fading slow-mo. He was a great play on paper. That's one of those things, like, I'm not going to look back and say, oh my God, Kyle Anderson, he was an easy fade. No, Kyle Anderson, before the slate started, he was a great play, and he was 100% owned in here. I got very lucky fading him. That game was a massive blowout. He only played like 20 minutes. Again, Josh Hart was a landmine I land on. There was Franz Wagner was a bust. He was 6 fantasy points. 6. But with Cole Anthony, this guy's averaging like 25 to 30 a game. So I feel for you if you played Franz. I feel for you if you played slow-mo. They're both good plays. Just very, very unlucky. Like Petty Theft had 185 points. Suggs, CJ, Slow-Mo, Wendell Carter Jr., Capella, Ja was off on a blowout. Powell and Steven Adams. So super, super low scoring day. But yeah, was this close in the late slate. Doc Rivers cost me thousands, and then had a really nice day in the main slate as well. So hoping to keep this going, guys, for this 4-game slate. So let's start off with the Lakers. Let's actually first see if there's any Vegas odds out for either of these games. Lakers, Pistons at 209 over-under. Lakers are 7.5-point favorites. And Knicks, Bulls, 208.5 over-under. The Bulls, 5-point favorites. All right, so we'll start off with the Lakers. With the big three being fully healthy, there's not much here. I know it's a good matchup, but like everyone's kind of expensive, right? AD and Westbrook are still pretty expensive from when LeBron is out. LeBron himself at 10-4 doesn't really stand out. Like, if you want to take a shot on one of those guys for the big three, you can. But right now, they're all contrarian plays for me. Talon Horton Tucker came way back down to earth, 8 fancy points. But I fade him at super high ownership, a 50 bomb. But yeah, THT with LeBron back doesn't really look that good of a play anymore. There's just not much here for the Lakers. Like Malik Monk at 3.9 is getting mid-20s minutes on the bench. I think he's viable for GPPs. Like you have guys like Avery Bradley, Wayne Ellington soaking up minutes. Those are just such low point per minute guys that I don't even want to really mess with them. Moving on to Detroit. So Cade Cunningham looking pretty good now last 3 games. 51, 41, and 46 fantasy points. He's stuffing the stat sheet. He's handling the ball more. This is a good matchup, too, against the Lakers. So at this price point, it might scare some people off. I'm still fine going to Cade, right? The usage is very, very high in him, and he's playing big minutes. The only real worry here is potential for a blowout. But yeah, I think Cade looks really, really solid. As far as Jeremy Grant and Sadiq Bey go, the secondary options, like both have been up and down. Both have a pretty low floor. Like Sadiq Bey, 32 minutes, 14 fancy points, 17 fancy points in 31 minutes. He also can go for like 35 plus. So if you want to take a shot in either of those Pistons wings, you can. But they're more GPP only plays for me. Isaiah Stewart at 4.6 looks like he will be good to go. He left last game due to an ankle injury. If he can stay out of foul trouble, I think he's a decent value play. But good luck with that is all I'm going to say. If you play Isaiah Stewart, fingers crossed that he's like a Triple J. 75% chance he gets in foul trouble, and you're going to be tilted. Killian Hayes, questionable. Pretty significant news. If he can't go, then we have guys like Corey Joseph, maybe Frank Jackson, potential value play. So monitor that one. I don't think I get to anyone else, though, here on the Pistons. Like, Josh Jackson's at 3.8K, but the minutes haven't been great. Like, if you want to take a shot on one of these guys with the bench, you can. This is a made-up name. There's just no way this is a real person. There's just a made-up player, like another one, right? Just made-up person. There's just fake players on this Pistons team. All right, let's move on to the Knicks and the Bulls. So the Knicks rotation, I mean, this has been a headache. Normally, Tom Thibodeau's a guy that runs the starters big minutes. Well, not this year. Julius Randle, the one guy that's getting some decent minutes, not as big as last year. He was playing 40 minutes a game in the regular season. Minutes are down to like low 30s. Now, at 9-7, right, that doesn't really stand out. He can still get there, but, like, again, it's going to be hard for me to get really excited about it. And the rest is just, you can't trust this rotation right now. It's kind of going to go with the hot hand. So, like, basically everyone else besides Randall, you really can't trust. RJ Barrett at 5'5". Yeah, he has a ceiling, but he also can play 20 minutes and go for 15 fancy points. 26 minutes, 8 fancy points. Kemba Walker, some games he'll play 30 minutes. Most of the games right now he's been hovering in 20. For the last 5 games, 18, 20, 21, and 21. All those games, competitive games. Not like these are blowouts, competitive games. Now, the price is cheap. So, again, you want to roll the dice in him in tournaments? Sure. Same thing with Derrick Rose. Hovering around 20 minutes. Or every once in a while, he'll play more, 30, 29, if he's playing really well. So, again, tournament only. Alec Burks, minutes up and down. Couple games, 13, 21. Few games, 29, 27. He does have upside, right? We saw it last game from him. So if Alec Burks is, let's just say this, like since the minutes are all over the place for these Knicks guys, if Alec Burks, because the last couple games is going to be the chalk, then I'm fine just looking elsewhere or maybe like going to one of those other Knicks, right? Because I have a feeling based on the last couple games that he probably gets the most ownership. And I'm perfectly fine with it, but I think he'll probably be a little bit over-owned. Mitchell Robinson also got banged up with a nose injury. My guess is he'll be good to go because it's just a nose. We'll have to see. If he and Taj Gibson can't go, then Nerlens Noel becomes a viable value play. Quickly is another one of those guys where the minutes are a little bit up and down. He's been getting, maybe around 20 minutes. It's playable. Fournier's minutes you can't trust either, right? Some games, 19 in a close game, 21 in a close game. This game he actually played 30 because he was playing well. So this is what I'm saying. Like, you just cannot trust this Knicks rotation. The only guy I'm comfortable with the minutes are Randall and possibly Noel if Robinson and Gibson are both out. But every single other person on this roster, they could play 15 minutes, they could play 30. So everyone else is just a tournament play. I really just don't trust it. Moving on to Chicago. So I don't think Vooch is going to be back for this one because they said at least 10 days, and that was on November 11th. It's November 21st. And this is, so I don't think he'll be back since it's been 10 days exactly. You have LaVine, DeRozan. It's a tough matchup. Both guys are in play, but because of the Knicks matchup, it's not like a smash spot. Like the Knicks played a pretty slow pace. But both those guys are viable. Lonzo at 6'8", he's so up and down, which is just so weird for a guy that's like stuff in the stat sheet. He's been very, very up and down, can only go there in tournaments. Caruso at 5'1", he's still getting some solid minutes, like mid-30s. I think he's a decent option, but he still had, he's not like super aggressive on the offensive end. Like there's a game he shot one time in 34 minutes. He's more out there for his defense. And then like the secondary options for Chicago, I don't really trust either. Like Tony Bradley's been starting, but like his minutes, sometimes 15, sometimes like mid-20s. Yeah, this is just a game in general that it's going to be a headache to try to figure out, where the minutes are going to go for each team. Moving on to Denver and Phoenix. So the big news here is Nikola Jokic questionable. It's big, big news. If Nikola Jokic is out, that changes the entire slate because then the whole Denver team looks really good. Barton, Aaron Gordon, Monte Morris. You have the Greens. You have, Dozier, Bones, Campoza. A lot of these guys become in play. If Jokic plays, I really like Jokic himself because I think he can just smash in any single matchup. He's probably going to play 35-plus minutes. So if Jokic plays, I really like him. If Jokic misses, then Will Barton probably going to be the highest usage guy. He kind of had a 4-game last game. I got him at pretty low ownership, was a little bit tilted about that. But he's a guy that can take over. Obviously, can handle the ball a good amount. He does have, almost went for a triple-double with Jokic in 2 games ago. So I think Barton looks really solid. I played Aaron Gordon at like 5% last night. He was an absolute smash. I really only have interest in him if Jokic is out. So, again, depending on Jokic. Monte Morris did not close because I think it was Campozo that played really hot off the bench. But more often than, like most of the time, I would say Monte Morris closes and probably plays low to mid-30s minutes. So I think he would be a solid value. Jeff Green, again, started at the 5, actually. Him and JaMychal Green are viable. Now, I think I only put JaMychal Green if he starts, because he came off the bench and only played 11 minutes last game, so that is a little bit concerning. And I think it was Campozo. Yeah, Campozo was like out of the rotation and then just plays 27 minutes and smashes. You have Bones Highland, who's been a little bit quiet lately, but he's still getting around 15, 20 minutes. You have Dozier that would be in play out the bench. So there'd be a lot of viable guys here on Denver. Even Austin Rivers makes me want to throw up, but he started to play 33 minutes last game. So a lot of viable options here for Denver if Jokic is out. If Jokic is in, not a ton of love outside of Jokic. On the Phoenix side, so we have Booker, Paul at the top, both in play. I feel a little bit more comfortable with Chris Paul, a little bit of a higher floor than Devin Booker. Now, Devin Booker more the boom or bust. We saw the bust last game, seeing the last couple games, but the boom is 50 plus. They're at 58 here against Atlanta, so he's got a little more upside than Chris Paul, but also a little bit of a lower floor. So it depends what you're playing. DeAndre Ayton, the price has come up to 7.5. If Jokic misses, I would actually like Ayton more, because then he should be able to just feast against like Jeff Green, JaMychal Green. So if Jokic misses, I have some interest in Ayton. If Jokic plays, then don't like him as much. And then the wings, Bridges, Crowder. I think I would prefer Bridges because he's just playing more minutes. Playing like mid-30s minutes. Not a super high usage guy, but he's viable. I do think JaVale McGee is viable too off the bench. I think he plays 12 to 15 minutes. And he's super productive point per minute guy, so he's actually still playable. And then I'll mention Cam Johnson too at 3.3. He's been playing around 20 minutes. Not a super high floor, but he's really cheap. And Cam Payne even been getting like 12 to 15 minutes. So a couple viable guys I think you can look to in larger field tournaments. And finally, Toronto and Golden State. So Toronto, big news we're waiting on is OG Anunoby is currently questionable, unavailable for a while. Yeah, I thought that's what they said, that he was going to be out for a little bit. But I guess he's questionable. My guess, or I would think he doesn't play. If he doesn't play, I'm curious to see who Toronto starts. Do they stick with Khem Birch, or do they go more small? Because this is a small ball Golden State team, so I think it would make sense to go small. So let's first start with Khem Birch at 3.8. If he starts, I think he's a decent value play. Now, last game was kind of an outlier performance. But if he starts, then we probably get around 20 minutes from him. So he'd be decent value. And then Siakam, Van Fleet are the 2 highest usage guys. Both have been up and down. Like, just look at the last 5 games here from Siakam. 23, 54, 38, 17, and 47. And then Fred Van Fleet, 37, 54, 39, 45, 27. So both are up and down, but these are the 2 that have the most upside in the Raptors. So I have interest in both, maybe both more tournament options. Scotty Barnes at 6.5 has kind of struggled of late, but the minutes are still there for him, so he's not out of play. Gary Trent Jr. is the best player in the world, right? This is what I was talking about with Harrison Barnes and Miles Bridges to begin the year. Now this is Gary Trent Jr. He is just the best player. He's going to continue to shoot 70% from the field every single game, and he's going to continue to get people there. Now, the positive here with Gary Trent is the minutes. He's playing massive minutes, but he's shooting really well, and he's pretty scoring dependent, right? He's not going to do much of the peripheral stats. So there is still a low floor with Gary Trent. I know we haven't seen it last 5 games. It is there. Trust me. He can go for 15 tomorrow, and I would not be surprised. So ownership might be up. If I think it's going to be up to a point where like he's one of the more popular plays in the slate, then I'm just perfectly fine fading him. The bench for Toronto, I just don't really want to mess with this because I don't know what they're going to do with the big minutes going up against a small ball team. Like, does Achua get all the backup 5 minutes? Do they go to Boucher? Both are good point per minute guys, but I just have no idea, right? Both kind of had a good game. The last game was a blowout. I don't know what they're going to do, and I'm not messing with anything else here for Toronto. And finally, Golden State. So Steph Curry at 11-2. I actually think it's a pretty solid play here on this 4-game slate. You know, the floor is still low on him, but the ceiling is massive, and he's been playing out of his mind. I mean, Steph Curry is so fun to watch. He is the most fun player to watch in the NBA, and it's not even close. So I do like Steph a good amount here at the top. Wiggins, Poole, priced up from Steph and Draymond being out. I have no interest in either of them with their respective price points. Draymond Green's is fine. Like, he's going to play 30 to 32 minutes in a competitive game, a guy that does have triple-double upside, but the price doesn't really stand out. Peyton, Bjelica, both probable. Iguodala, questionable. Iguodala is out. Otto Porter, questionable. If Otto Porter can't go, then you can try to mess with this rotation for Golden State, but I'm just going to tell you, you're not going to have fun. It's not a fun time trying to figure out what Steve Kerr is going to do with his 15-man rotation every night. So, if you want to roll the dice on Bielitsa, if you want to roll the dice on Kuminga, Damian Lee, JTA, Gary Payton, you can go for it. All I'm saying is I have no confidence in who gets these minutes, who gets the Iguodala Otto Porter minutes off the bench if Otto Porter misses, right? So if you want to try to mess with one of those guys, go for it. It's not something that I feel great about. So yeah, guys, that's going to do it for the video today. If you have enjoyed the content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. But thanks again, guys. Have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow in the next video.